This is the Rogue Cell podcast / documentary epic road trip. And we're still here in Scappoose, Oregon at the Moose Lodge.
Scappoose Part 2.
Scappoose. Now, this time it's personal. And we're here with, so is it Ashley Hyder Taylor?
So it's Ashley Taylor
Hyder.
Hyder's my maiden name.
Okay.
So I have that on my Facebook so that, you know, my long lost loves, if they ever search for Ashley Hyder, they will find me. But my legal name is Ashley Taylor, but on Facebook, I'm Ashley Hyder Taylor.
I added a hyphen to my name, so I couldn't be found.
How do you want us to put it in the little boop boop?
Ashley Taylor.
Ashley Taylor.
And if you want to get
Remember
fancy,
that over there.
my middle name, I married into being Ashley Elizabeth Taylor.
Oh,
right?
Taylor.
Yeah.
My grandmother married and she was Betty Davis. So
nice.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
I bet she had great eyes.
She did, and she cussed like a sailor. She's a little Irish woman. Chain smoked and cussed a lot.
Nice.
But anyway, we're not here to talk about that. So we're here because you were helping out here in the Moose Lodge. Let's talk about that first before we get into all this stuff.
Like what all this is?
Well, that and the welcome home for the Vietnam veterans that you spearheaded.
Well, okay. Well, let me think. So I moved to Oregon a couple years ago in 2021. We were living in Texas, and my husband's from this area, from the Gorge, from the Washington side. In Texas, I fell in love with the service community. Mm-hmm. So I've been a member of the VFW since 2005, but I wasn't real. That was, you know, when I stepped off the plane and there was a VFW in Germany and they were like, we'll pay for half of your membership. And I joined, but I never did anything.
Right.
Until 2014, we were living in Texas, and I fell into a job connecting veterans and children and families to services. And I had no clue that there was a world of veteran services. I didn't even know, even as a veteran. But I knew there was the VA, but I didn't know there was this whole world of nonprofits and service work and what that looked like.
Right.
But because of my job, part of it was getting to know my community and what is available in your community for veterans and what that looks like. So of course I found the VFW.
Right.
And so I was like,
Veterans of Foreign Wars.
Yes, the Veterans of Foreign Wars. And I knew that I had this membership from, you know, almost 10 years prior. And I was like, I'm a member. I don't know what this means. And so that started a whole nother journey where I learned and fell in love with the VFW's mission and
that's what we're talking about. Community service,
getting to know. So all that backstory is about like how bringing me to Oregon. I learned, you know, in the past 10 years, if you want to know your community, you find these service organizations.
Yeah. So you're a moose, you're an elk. How many other animals?
Well, I'm actually not.
Lions?
I'm not. I know. And I'm not a moose. I should be because we do so much here. But I am an elk. I am a VFW member, a Legion member.
Yep.
I think I'm a member of the AUSA, the Army Association of the United States
States Army. Eagle for a while in the aviary.
See, eagles are cool. Yeah. I want to become an eagle. I think there are some other ones, but
the Lions Club and
the Lions,
probably some gorillas out there. I don't know what else. Lemurs.
Yes, but the moose here. So when I moved to this community, like you kind of learn who's doing the work, right? Who's getting the community together? Who are your busy people that are putting on events? And we learned really quickly that the moose is one of those folks.
Yeah, they're the movers and shakers.
Yes, and when I moved here was right after COVID, and so these veteran breakfasts were going on, but with COVID hit, they shut down.
Yeah.
So when I moved here, we're getting them started again because they used to have them at a restaurant, and it was like smaller. And when they were getting going again, it was like, well, why don't we do them at the Moose? And so then I really love it because then it became true community because it was community organizations. Like there's no organization that owns this breakfast, even though it's held at the Moose.
Yeah.
It's a collaborative breakfast of just word around the street that your VFWs are here, your Legions are here, your auxiliaries are here, your off the run of the mill other nonprofits are here. It's just a true community gathering. And what's awesome about it is there is a 50-50 drawing and it has its own pot of money, but it's just like its own thing. And we just trust one of the guys to hold all the money, and we tell him how much money do we have, and then we'll give it out. Like we had a veteran who he had bone cancer, and the breakfast paid for his mortgage, and another organization paid for his mortgage for 1 month.
That's amazing.
True community. Just bringing it all together. So that's the story of the Moose and why they host it here and how I found it.
So you were talking about being a veteran of a foreign war. So let's go back and talk about when you joined the military.
Okay.
What branch?
Army, the best branch.
Of course.
Right?
Okay.
Cool,
We're all Army here.
All Army here today.
Okay. So oh my gosh, it was like so long ago. And not as long as you, though.
93.
You're the 90s. Yeah, I was 10 years old in 93. Do the math there. So I joined. So my basic active service date is March 18th, 2003. Do you remember what was going on around that time?
You were 2003?
Uh-huh.
I was February 2003.
See? And so March 18th, the Iraq War was official on the 20th, right? And so like, but if you remember that time frame, like when George Bush was officially like on the news we were bombing Iraq in the background. And I remember vividly thinking, this is going to be over and done with. Like we all thought we're just going to bomb and it's going to be done. Yeah. So here I am shipping off to basic training, and I needed to get away. I needed to change some things in my life. Came from a good family, but I loved to party. And I needed to not party anymore.
A lot of people join the military for discipline. And that's where they find it too.
And I did. I found it. But I remember all my friends were like, what are you doing? We're going to war. And I was like, no, it'll be over and done with by the time I still have to go to basic training. Yeah. And I knew I wanted to go far. So not my main recruiter, but my MEPS recruiter. He was like, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? And I'm like, I just need to go far. And so the way I remember it, he was like, I know a sergeant major in Germany. So he called a sergeant major and was like, we have this troop coming through. What spots are you going to have open? And they were like, we'll have a diesel mechanic or an MP. And I was like, I'm not ready to be a cop. I'm like, coming from the block. And so I was like, I guess I'll be a diesel mechanic. And I got a spot in Germany. So joined in March, went through basic training and then AIT. So I get to my unit in September, and the unit was in the field because they were getting ready to deploy in January. Oh, wow. So I didn't even go to the field because they were already there. So then we deployed in January of 2004.
To where?
To Iraq. And if I was like an E1 nothing. I had no rank.
No rank.
Literally just from basic training, AIT, get to my unit, and then we'd go on Christmas leave.
Your friends were right.
Yes. They were like, what are you doing? You're going to war. And I was like, no. And then sure enough, Uncle Sam was like, yes.
Immediately.
You're going.
That's what the Army's for. What's wrong with you? Yeah.
But honestly, it worked out for me. I didn't have time to be scared. I didn't even know what to be scared of. Yeah. I had no clue. So it was a time of my life.
And so how long did you serve total?
7 years.
7 years.
Yeah. So I did my first enlistment was 3 years in Germany, and deployed with the 1st Infantry Division, Big Red 1. And then after that enlistment, it was 2006. And I was like, I'm going to get called back in. Like, why? So I re-enlisted for my duty station of choice. And I got Fort Irwin in California, because that's where I'm from. And then deployed with that unit too.
Oh, wow. So you had 2.
Yeah.
So does that make you the only soldier that voluntarily went to Fort Irwin?
I got that a lot. I have heard that a lot. And because everyone was like, what are you doing? And the thing is, I fought for that duty station because my reenlistment person was like, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get your duty station of choice. Like, no one's getting anything. Like, and I'm like, I was fighting it. And literally, I think it was like 4 days before my first contract was up, I was going to get out because they weren't giving me it. And they were like, okay, you're going to get it. And then everyone was like, that's what you fought for? Yeah. Fort Irwin? Like, what are you doing?
You called the recruiter's bluff because they have to send people to different places. Yeah.
For people that aren't familiar, Fort Irwin's right in the middle of the Mojave Desert.
Can we say the devil's butthole?
Yeah, definitely.
It's or the devil's armpit, I guess. But
that's what I've heard.
But the beauty. I'm from like 2 hours away from there, from Orange County, and the beauty of being stationed there is I never had to do a rotation.
Oh,
because, we were managing the rotations. And,
at the National Training Center?
Yeah. So, I mean, we would support the rotations. Like, we had some field exercise, but I never had to do a full 30-day thing.
I never went there. I went to GRTC in Louisiana like 5 or 6 times. And it was horrible.
Well, and you were at Drum. Did you have to do a thing at Drum? Because don't they have rotations there?
I did the cold weather course out there, and it was funny because people from Alaska were coming to Drum to do the cold weather course. And
seems backwards.
I came from Alaska to further north in Alaska to do the cold weather course.
Yeah. Well, it was definitely where hell froze over. But let's talk about you. So when you got out of the military, did you have any problems transitioning back into civilian life? Other than people asking, "Oh, do your husband serve?"
Oh, I definitely got a lot of that, which doesn't help that my husband is a veteran.
It's like,
and it took him a while to be correct them because he's a very humble guy and he just didn't. He was kind of oblivious and just didn't pay attention. And he'd be like, "Yeah, thank you," without realizing oh, But anyway, honestly, I was excited to get out because the military, I had a lot of loneliness in the military. I was in a mostly male unit. In my platoon, I was one of 2 females, and we did have a third. She always tries to correct me on this, but she was the platoon leader. So she, where they keep the officers, she was separate.
Yeah.
And so, yes, there was a third female, but I just remember a lot of loneliness, not a lot there. I definitely had the camaraderie and the, BSing and smoking and joking and stuff for sure, but not really any solid connections. And I don't know if that's because I was a woman or whatever, but I just remember a lot of loneliness. And so I was eager to get out. And I feel like that hurt me more than even the traumatic war stuff that I encountered because I didn't even know what any of that meant. And because I was so young, I turned 21 in Iraq and so fresh in the military. And so getting out, I was excited. I was like, I have a whole new life. And I wanted to get my life going because while I was in, I felt, I love my time in the military. I don't want this to sound bad, but I felt stuck, frozen because I couldn't grow.
Right.
I wanted, I had started my school while I was active duty. Thankfully, I had some amazing mentors and leaders who, when we got back from our first deployment, when they were like, "Why aren't you going to school? Go to school now."
Yeah.
And because it's 100% covered. And I'm so grateful for that because I finished half of my bachelor's while I was active duty. So when I got out, I knew I was just going to start my life. And I just went to school and finished my bachelor's and then went on to do my master's.
What's your bachelor's in?
So my bachelor's is in social sciences. So I knew I wanted to help people, not in a clinical way. And looking back, I didn't know what it would turn into, what it is now. But I knew I wanted to focus on advocacy and just helping people find whatever they need. And I didn't know at the time what that looked like. So,
what's your master's in?
So my master's is in human studies and human behavior.
Right. And so now you're a professional mental health advocate / street fighter.
Yes. A mental health street fighter.
What does that do? What does it do?
Because I fight for people's mental health access. I fight for people wanting to help themselves. I fight for the resources that exist if they're not working. I fight and advocate for those people who are wanting to access care and maybe they're having barriers, maybe they're feeling a certain way. So kind of both ways. I'm either fighting for the person that's wanting to feel better or I'm fighting for that service that's either working or not working and whatever it needs to connect the two.
Right. So in your experience, does community service help veterans who might be having suicidal ideations?
So as far as getting connected in your community?
Yeah.
100%. And here's what I found.
And you've seen that.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I'm not saying it's foolproof. There are still people who are isolating, but the beauty of community and coming into communities and building things like this breakfast and the Vietnam Veterans Dinner that we hosted, my purpose of doing those, because what I've found is if you build a big enough community and invite anyone in that community to support it, whether it's veterans, whether it's family members, whether it's Joe Schmo who's anti-military.
Yeah.
But if any of those people encounter a person who needs support, they're going to say, you know what? I know who to talk to.
Right.
So it's like building that awareness that even if those people who need help aren't coming and engaging, which that's great, but it's just building that awareness for the community to know there are avenues of help that's available. And I know who you can talk to. So yes, I've seen it.
If you are a veteran who's having some issues with, PTSD or some other service-connected disability or injury, where would you even start if you want to get involved in your community?
So my guidance would be to find the service organizations, and specifically the veteran service organizations. I mean, and there's, high functioning service organizations and not high functioning. But what I always tell people, because sometimes I've found that a veteran will go to a service organization and then get turned off by it, because I hear this all the time from women that they'll walk into somewhere and say, oh, well, our auxiliary's over here. Well, no, so that kind of shuts them down.
Right.
And then they disengage.
I want to cover that because that's important.
It
so
totally
a woman
is.
veteran comes into an organization. Because I saw this when I was the commander for the American Legion. So a woman veteran comes into the organization and they're like, oh, you need to go to the auxiliary with the other wives of veterans while they served. And they just make that assumption like, well, then you must have been married to a vet. So you go to the auxiliary and bake cookies and stuff. And we're like, no, I want to lead. I'm over here. I want a position. Right.
This is not your place. I know. Well, and I always tell the people, like, don't get disengaged. Either you find a different place or you fight through that. Because let me tell you a couple different scenarios that have happened to me, and we got to fight through it. Like, I can't give up, because if I give up, who loses? That organization doesn't. I mean, they do lose. Let's be real. But like, I lose, right? Like, because I'm giving up. And so I mean, my girlfriend and I, who are big VFW supporters, she's a district commander out in Texas, and we came up in the VFW together, and my girl's out there. But we were at a district meeting. We were district officers wearing our VFW caps. The VFW caps and the auxiliary caps are vastly different, different colors. But we were wearing our VFW caps, wearing our district shirts with our names on it that said our officer position. And we're standing outside. It was a smoke break of the district meeting. And we're going back inside. And one of these VFW members was like, oh, ladies, your guys' side is over there. And we were like,
oh, my gosh.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? So like, that's one example. So another thing, so we kind of moved past it, and thankfully we had a really awesome district commander, because it's hard. Like, we don't want to be the ones who are like, don't say this. So there's like a balance of how to address that. Yeah. And thankfully someone else saw that and was like, that's not right. And they stood up during the meeting and were like, this has got to stop. Like y'all, they're wearing fucking shirts that
say who they are.
And so sometimes too, when I'm at events, I'll wear my ribbon rack. Yeah. Just because, like, not to be like, look what I have, because like I
wear it.
But I wear it so that I
see
don't.
Guys wearing it on their pajamas. It's okay.
Yes, but I wear it, and I don't wear it all the time. But like at events, I'll wear it so that people know that I'm a veteran, so that I don't get the, oh, well, you don't look like a veteran. Well, what do you want me to look like? Like,
what does a veteran look like?
Yeah, but still, even when I'm wearing that ribbon rack, like I was at a VFW event. And I had told someone, they were like, oh, you're wearing your ribbon rack. I was like, yeah. I was like, you know why I wear it? So that people, don't assume I'm not a veteran. But I was like, watch, we'll get this. So as the night goes on, he happened to come back and was standing by me. And another dude comes up and he's like, oh, whose ribbon rack is that? Is that your uncle's or something? And I'm like,
your uncle's.
And so the guy who I had told earlier why I wear it, he was like, are you fucking kidding me? Why would she wear someone else's ribbon rack? So it's like, come on.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's so funny.
And you had a battle buddy right there.
I did. So thankfully people, stick up for us. Not that we need it. I get it. But like, And more, I mean, the number of women veterans and women in service is only growing.
Yes.
And now I follow this lady who she is a fucking ranger and like all tabbed up, and she gets shit still. And she's like and she's over there like pugs, you know, like but she, you know, she does the dang thing. So it's growing. It's only going to continue to grow.
Moving back to your job as the mental health street fighter, I'm like, we were talking about veterans in rural Oregon.
Yes.
So we live in Clatsop County, and then Tillamook County is right by us. And 10% of that population are veterans. That's almost double the national average.
It's 12% here in Columbia County.
12%.
12% here.
Wow. So why do you think that is?
You know, I don't know. It's kind of like, why do we live here, right? Like,
because I love it.
It's beautiful.
It's
It's beautiful. It's rural. I think that we like that small town vibe. You know, it's hard to put generalizations on it.
But it's the truth, right?
Yeah.
And so, and with that increased population of veterans, now you have that's why we end up being like number 5 in the country for suicide in our state.
Yeah, well, we're also number 4 for firearm purchases per capita, which is, you know, it's a balance. I'm a proud firearm owner, you know, Noveski, shout out. And but like there's a very strong correlation with firearm ownership and suicides, and Oregon is leading in both of those. And I think the difference with a lot of states who also have higher firearms is the way they talk about suicide prevention. I know with the work that we do with or the Oregon Firearm Safety Coalition, and together with veterans and even the national strategy to prevent veteran suicide is to not take away firearms. It's just to encourage the conversation of knowing when to put your firearm down.
Or have that distance and time.
Yes, not to have. I'm going to put my husband on the spot here. So the veteran who sometimes has to identify as the veteran because it's my job. I work in the veteran service world, right? But like personal, Ashley, I'm a veteran, right? But I am professionally because I appreciate being able to have a voice as a woman veteran. Where my husband, he could care less about identifying as a veteran. And there's probably some, you know, trauma reasons in that. So I say that because he does have his own mental health struggles, and he has a license to carry, but he also has a wife who's a professional veteran mental health advocate who he has to hear a lot about suicide prevention and firearm safety and lethal means safety and knowing when to. So he, you know, just by proxy hears all this. And I was so proud of him. Last year he was going through it, you know, his cycle of life, the ebbs and flows, and he was having a rough couple of months. And, you know, I was concerned about him, and I was like, what's going on? And, you know, are you okay? And having these conversations, if he was thinking about suicide and if he's thinking about, you know, not wanting to be here. And he said, yeah, I've been keeping my gun at home. And I was so proud of him. Like I looked at that as a celebration.
Yeah.
Because he, it makes me want to cry, but because he made that, and that's the powerful, like, it's not complex. Like it is, but it doesn't have to be. If we can just have these conversations, we can empower each other to make those life-saving decisions. And because he has heard me go on and on about it, I don't know if it's all because of me, you know, but maybe, but because it was ingrained in him not to have your firearm, that's dangerous when you're at a low point.
Yeah.
He made that decision all on his own, and it wasn't a thing.
Oh, that's great.
So like, I love that. I called Dawn Marie right away, and I was like, look at that. And, you know, it was sad. And of course we dealt with, you know, what he was dealing with and addressed that. But I was just,
well, that's what I learned with all of this type of stuff is you have to celebrate your small victories.
Yes.
You definitely have to. And so we were talking about community service, and for a lot of veterans who just like, you know what, Moose Lodge is not my thing. Elks Lodge, I don't want to be a part of the American Legion of the VFW. You know, on our trip, we're going to be talking to elected officials and lawmakers from the city, the county, the state, and federal. What can we ask as far as like, what kind of role can these lawmakers make in the cities and on the county for these veterans to give them a meaningful role? Because if it's not meaningful, it's just, if you just give them something, the vets are not going to take it. Like, I think a lot of the conversations that we've been having, it's really important to ask veterans to do something, and that will help them.
Mm-hmm.
What can we ask them to do?
I want to see more public official involvement in having veteran town halls. You know, they're already coming to the communities to have town halls. What about in a community that has 12% of your population? Do a veteran town hall.
Right.
Hear from your veterans. What is your, service like at the VA? There's a big
VA that's 2 hours away.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a huge thing because, the VA's budget it's public knowledge that it's struggling right now because more veterans are accessing care, which is amazing.
It's great.
And more veterans in rural communities are accessing care because now this community care platform is expanding amazingly. So we need our government officials to know that and support that because there's a balance that, yes, more veterans are using the VA, which means the VA needs more money. And you know who's in charge of that? Congress.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the VA can't say, oh, we need more money. It's on Congress to recognize from their communities that they need more services so that those services can be budgeted and funded.
Yeah, because I've noticed, especially lately, that the people who work at the VA are really, they work there for two reasons. The first reason, which is the great reason, is like they want to help vets, so they don't mind not getting paid as much as other professionals in their field because they want to help veterans out and they're awesome. The second reason is because they couldn't find another job somewhere else and they got, and so it's really hit and miss when you get there with your service. You don't know if you're going to get one of those stellar heroes or just somebody who just like clocking and doing their job and I couldn't find another job somewhere.
Yeah. And, that's a big thing, just like with getting involved in your communities and service organizations, just like going to the VA. I think I've seen this, not to generalize us, but I've seen this a lot with our culture that because while we're in the military, we're taught what to do, who to do it with, what to wear, what time to do it. So when we get out, we're like, okay, who's going to tell us, what to do? And same thing when we go into somewhere and we're disappointed. If you go into somewhere and you're not getting the care you want, or you go into somewhere and American Legion or VFW disappoints you, guess what? There's lots of other options.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of, places like the VA. You are in charge of your care. You can ask to see a different provider. Especially if you're in, this Portland area, you can, there's so many clinics around. You can, if you don't like your provider at the Hillsborough clinic, go to the Vancouver clinic or, go to community care. Like we are in charge of our care. And I think that's a thing.
But I will
some
tell
of
you
that when we get into the rural communities, like for us, 2 hours away.
Yeah.
We don't have as many options like
so
that.
we have a VA clinic in Clatsop County, but I've gone there. I've lived there for 2 years now. And I've yet to see a doctor. There's no doctor. We have a nurse practitioner, but she lives in Eugene. And when you go there, they have a TV screen. It looks like a robot, like a TV screen and the stuff. And she pops up and tries to do what she can do by video. And then the technology will always stop. You can't hear each other. And it's just,
that's
ridiculous.
frustrating. And see, that's what government officials want to hear. And because it's all unknown, right? It's the evolution of mental health care back in World War II was we're going to give you a lobotomy and lock you up in a fucking room for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And that's even as recent as even Vietnam. I mean, I think the last lobotomy was like in the 60s or something.
So we were talking about community service, but another part of our documentary is helping veterans heal by just getting out into the Oregon outdoors.
Yes.
So have you seen that work in
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So something that changed my person, I know I'm one person, but I did go through this amazing program through the VA with a cohort of 30 other veterans who, their lives were changing too from this program. And I'm trying to think of how to explain this program. So a big part of it was giving yourself your autonomy, giving you your life back, like teaching you how you're in charge of yourself and not saying you have to do it on your own, but giving you your autonomy of what works for you and being one, like just being, not this pressure of doing and living and going and doing all this, just being. And part of that being is being with nature.
Yeah.
Like being a whole of what we are. So absolutely, I do wholly believe in getting out into nature and finding what works for each individual person, because getting out in nature is going to look different for everyone, whether that's, going on a hike or going on a bike ride or going on a fishing trip or, explore. I love it when people get creative and like make it a competition of themselves. Like, I'm going to go to all the Oregon state parks. Or
That's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
Or, just finding what works. And so I really do want to touch on the 6-month program that I went through with the VA. It was a reintegration program that was reintegrating veterans with, moral injury and PTSD with their communities.
Wow.
It was amazing. It was a 3-phase program. And the final phase was the 6-month intense 2 days a week where we met and were getting introduced. So the person that puts it on, her name is Chaplain Rebecca Morris, and she is a mental health chaplain at the VA, and she's ordained in Buddhism. And
nice.
So it was like this magical thing that she brought all these Eastern medicine and native healing practices, and where she just like it taught all of us these practices. And we did go through a couple healing exercises, but it changed my life because being a mental health street fighter myself, I've always tried to walk my own walk of healing, not just talking the talk of learning my education piece, but also I have my own shit and my own struggles and my own being a person in recovery from certain drugs and like dealing with all of that and what that looks like. And I was going through some traditional therapies, for years and doing that, but I was still feeling shitty. Right. And so it was a matter of like finding what worked for me, and something in this 6-month program, it clicked in me that I'm in charge of that. And I can meal piece what works of identifying your symptoms and then going through just whatever therapeutic approach works for you. And I forgot where I'm going with that, but
well, it sounds like it works.
Going towards telling me where
I have a lot of personal peace. Like my personal thing was always that I learned in this, identifying where your feelings of stress and trauma come from. And mine had a lot to do with feeling pressure and expectations of like, you have to succeed and you have to do, and you have to be amazing and you have to, be awesome. And I'm like, but I'm not awesome. I feel like fucking shit all the time. And so like finding the balance of that it's okay to feel shitty, but then personally, I don't want to feel shitty. I do want to feel good. But taking control of that, like I'm allowed to say, I don't want to feel shitty. I want to feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're heading out to the Oahe Canyonlands. Have you ever been there?
No. Where is that?
It's in Southeast Oregon. So we
in the middle of nowhere. There's like 10 people over there.
Yeah, we'll let you know. We'll count them. But it's been it's recently been designated as like the United States darkest sky, one of the darkest skies. So we're gonna do some sky watching.
Is that where are you gonna be able to see like the eclipse?
Yeah, we'll be down there.
Did you get the eclipse glasses? Don't you have to have like special ones?
I'll let him.
It's recommended.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not going to stare at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for your time and for all the stuff that you do in the community. It's really great.
It takes a village.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for going around. It's been so fun getting to know you guys and work with you guys.
Oh, yeah.
The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of Together with Veterans Northwest Oregon, or the Oregon Firearm Safety Coalition, or the Department of Veterans Affairs. You can find us at roguecell.vet or facebook.com/groups/roguecell. If you or a loved one is experiencing thoughts of suicide, help is available. Please call 988 and press 1 for veterans. This line is answered 24/7, so there is always someone to help. and with help comes hope, and hope saves lives. The second of the 503rd Rogue Cell is produced by Brad Peitzig with support from Together with Veterans and is hosted by Sean Davis. Music provided by Michael Dean Dameron. Thank you for joining us.